Good day and welcome to the Street's Small Business Success Stories. We bring you the experts and their secrets to success. Today we're lucky to be joined by Dr. Justin Bazan of Park Slope Eye in Brooklyn, New York. He's a board-certified graduate of the SUNY State College of Optometry. Also with us, Susan Bach, SCORE Small Business Counselor, and SCORE is America's premier source of free and confidential small business advice for entrepreneurs. Susan has owned and managed businesses on a national scale, including a ticket agency and a printing company. She also spent 10 years in the medical field as a cardiac tech and EMT as a medical office manager. Susan has been volunteering with SCORE and other nonprofit organizations for 8 years. Let's get right to it. Dr. Bazan, what made you decide to start your own practice?
Well, I was graduated from school and I took a job at a large regional chain. I was very happily working there for a few years. Then I just knew that the business side of me wanted my own business. And I started to do things and run it like it was my own business, yet I was working for somebody else. So one of the things that I started to implement was a blog. This was a patient education blog. So what I did is I would go through and think of the questions that my patients most frequently asked me, and I would write those answers on an online blog. So after they were in the exam and they had a diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy, and we went through the explanation that seems complicated and I'm overwhelmed, I would say, here's my blog. This is the post that I'd like you to read. If you have any comments or questions, now you have a direct connection to me. So what it was doing is it was helping the patients and was giving us a stronger bond of loyalty. That was great, and that would have been the ideal thing to do if that was my own practice, but since I was working for somebody else and they would rather have the patient be bonded to the practice, not the doctor specifically, I was given a choice to either take down the blog or be terminated. The blog is still up, and it's been up since early on in '07, and it's still continuing to serve as a very good bond between myself and my patients. So that's one aspect that kind of said, hey, you know, it's time to do this on your own. You've had success here working for somebody else. Now it's time to bring that success into your own business.
So you're getting the benefits of that blog. What other benefits are you getting from social networking?
Social networking has been a tremendous success for our practice. I opened up cold with no marketing budget, so we're utilizing the tools of social media to do our marketing for us. But that's only a tool. The real marketing comes from what you're doing in your office and allowing your patients to know about those tools. So one of the biggest tools that helps us with our marketing and our word of mouth is Yelp. Yelp.com is an online review platform. It's a moderated review platform where our patients can go and share their experience to the world. So when a patient reads about our practice and they learn about their other patients' experience at our office, they say, is this a good match for me? Do I want this doctor to take care of me? So ultimately, it's helping us grow a better practice because it's custom tailoring the patients to the doctors based on the experience of others that are publicly just broadcast out there through the internet.
And what do you do if you get a bad review on Yelp? Because some patients are very critical.
You know, there's always, any business on there is going to have a bad review. There are certain things that can go wrong. There are certain expectations that can't be met. So when it happens, it's about how you respond. You definitely want to see if there's things you can do to remedy the situation, but you also want to keep in mind that this is going out to everybody and in the public, so it's about how you handle the situation in a public forum. So we do things to try to correct the situation, but also portray the practice and say that this is how we do things. This is, if it does happen to you, at least you'll be taken care of in the following ways.
Do you find yourself having lots of interaction with your patients online?
We do. We have a very active Facebook page as well, where our likes and comments and our level of engagement seems to be above average. We have great responses to events that we host and utilize Facebook for our invitation platform. We get tons and tons of emails. We have people hit us up on Twitter. We use social media because that's where everybody is nowadays.
For all the doctors out there who want to use social networking tools, what can you say and what can't you say online?
Well, you always have to be careful about health concerns, HIPAA violations, and protecting people's privacies.
You start your practice, you're up and running. How do you get publicity to get people in the door?
Well, we use word of mouth. We try to create patient experiences that other patients want to tell their friends and family about. So we focus on doing things in the office that generate the buzz that's carried on throughout the community. We also love our community very much. Park Slope is a wonderful place, and we try to give back to that community. We utilize our practice as an event space, and we let it rent out for free to local groups. We try to host many different kinds of events there, and we just have fun doing it. So word travels, and if you focus on taking care of your patients and your customers, word will travel, and more patients and customers will come through the door.
Well, Yelp has given you some fantastic reviews, and a lot of what they talk about is your attention to detail, the decor, the manners in the office. How much attention do you pay to those little details? Well, the magazines on the desk.
All that goes into knowing what your patients like. So when we read these online reviews, the things that are done well, we do more of them. The things that weren't done well, we do less of them. So we utilize what patients are telling us as feedback, and we fine-tune our performance based on that feedback.
Susan, Dr. Bazan, he knew he had what it takes. What does it take? What skills do you find that entrepreneurs can elicit and do so well to open up a practice, just like Dr. Bazan, and have it succeed?
Well, just like Dr. Bazan, you have to have a passion for what it is that you're doing. And you have to be able to make sacrifices and do your due diligence. But most importantly, I think you have to be multitasking oriented. You have to be able to do a lot, wear a lot of hats.
And you have to start somewhere. How do you raise the startup costs necessary to open up your own practice or business?
Well, I think that you need to treat it like an investment. Okay, if you're very conservative, you're going to take a medium amount of money and go for it and apply it to various facets of your business, like marketing would be a huge priority.
Dr. Bazan, because you're starting a medical practice, you have to buy some very high-tech equipment. Did you find this daunting when it came to preparing to start your own business, those startup costs?
I did. I'm like the kid going through the Christmas toy catalog. I wanted everything, and anything that I saw I thought I would really make a difference in my practice. But when it comes down to it, you have to balance what you need and what you want. So if I went out and purchased every high-end piece of equipment, probably wouldn't have any money to make it float for the first few months. So I was lucky enough to know where to get help, and I utilized a testing facility that had the equipment that I didn't initially purchase.
Susan, what backup plans or safety nets do you suggest for someone looking to start their own business? And how do you protect your personal assets if you're going to be starting a brand new venture?
Well, the way to protect your assets is to either be an LLC or incorporated like an S corporation, so that the only thing that's at risk is your business and not your house and anything that you own. As far as anything else is concerned, I think that you have to have a business plan, which keeps your dreams and your goals on target, and I think it's probably the best way to go.
And what sacrifices does the entrepreneur have to make in order to succeed?
Well, there's a lot of sacrifices for the entrepreneur. You have to devote entirely tunnel vision to your business. It should be the first thing that you wake up in the morning and think about to when you go to sleep at night and just before you dream about it. You have to do your due diligence and realize that life can get in the way, but not when you're an entrepreneur.
Dr. Bazan, what sacrifices did you make to start your own practice, aside from a steady salary at a different place?
Well, I knew taking a pay cut was going to be a big deal. I was at a point in my life where I was very lucky, where I didn't have any high overhead of my own. I didn't have a family, still single. So I didn't have to make that many sacrifices to change the lifestyle, maybe taking that pay cut. But honestly, it was so much fun and so rewarding to be involved in doing it on my own that it didn't feel like I made any sacrifices at all.
Do you outsource any part of your business? And how do you know who to trust when you do outsource?
Well, in the beginning, I learned to do everything, and I had to do everything just because payroll wasn't there. But as we grew, I learned to do what I love, and the things that I didn't love, I outsourced. One of those big things is insurance billing. The people who deal with insurance are just on a different level. They're almost at a mythical level in my mind. So we outsource our insurance billing to some very special people. On the retail side of what we do, we also have an optical where we do sell eyewear. And merchandising that optical is something that I have also relinquished control to an optician who specializes in that as well.
Susan, when you're growing your business and you're adding staff or you're looking for partners to outsource business to, how do you know who to trust?
Reputation, see who your competitors use, and actually communication with those suppliers. See if you get along well with them. See if you can make deals that are both, an asset on both your parts. I think it's just a feel. Go by feel.
Dr. Bazan runs a solo practice, but there's lots of big eye practices that can move into his territory. How does he maintain his advantages, and what advantage does he have as a smaller practitioner?
Well, the priority factor would be customer service. When you're a small business, you don't skimp on that like the larger companies do. So you're able to negotiate and troubleshoot a problem, for instance, to the best of the satisfaction of the customer. You always want that customer to come back to you. Even if there was a problem, you got to make it more compliant for them to say, okay, you satisfied my need and I'm happy with your service, because you always want to be happy with satisfaction.
Dr. Bazan, you talked about the onerous part of insurance billing. What about the new healthcare laws, the new healthcare rules? How are these going to affect your practice?
Well, the new healthcare legislation that's passed is basically giving me a 20% pay cut for services like Medicare. So that means that we're going to have to see more patients and work harder to maintain the same level of profitability. And when you have to do that, you're always going to have some loss in usually service. So I'm definitely not looking forward to it, and I'm very open to hearing about how others are looking at this with a positive spin, because I'm having a little bit of a difficult time right now.
Aside from profitability, how do you know that your practice is successful?
We have a very kind of personal feel. So as long as we're generating the smiles and getting the positive reviews, I'm considered that that's a great benchmarking of success. So we really pay attention to what we're hearing back from people, and as long as we're getting praise and positive reviews, we're doing well and being successful.
Right now, we're in the middle of the so-called Great Recession. How do you overcome these slow periods, keep yourself motivated?
Well, what I heard from Dr. Bazan was that he knows how to operate every facet of his business. And as an owner, you need to do that, because when times are slow, you don't need extra personnel doing something that you can do. So that's very, very key. In times of plenty, well, then you have the financial profits to go and hire and outsource for part-timers and full-timers. But definitely an owner, in my opinion, would be that you need to know how to operate every facet of your business.
And Dr. Bazan, what advice would you give to a young doctor just starting out?
A young doctor that wants their own practice should definitely hang out with other doctors who have their own practice. You know, gaining insights from those who have gone through it is probably the best thing that anyone can do. You know, find a few doctors that you respect, that have practices that you want to emulate to, and sit them down for dinner. Talk to them. Just get to know how their whole story unfolded, and see if you find yourself wanting to walk in their shoes.
Susan, what are the most important things for a small business owner to keep in mind?
I think the small business owner should be tunnel focused. I think you should have a very strong and confident personality and be able to deal with challenges and choices, be able to modify certain communications, make sacrifices, and of course, you know, be respectful and honest and have a wonderful reputation in your business so that you can promote it.
Dr. Bazan, Susan Bach from SCORE, thanks for coming on the Street's Small Business Success Stories. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Mine too.